In this video, we will be walking through and reviewing the K-bar Coypu. So, first things first, it has a lot of features for being such a small, compact knife. It has a blade, of course, a foldable blade with a liner lock that I'm just about able to close with one hand. And then it has a little stud here. I'm not sure what this material is, but it's hard enough to break glass. I've tried breaking glass with it a few times. It works very well. And then a little rope cutter here. I don't know if you can see that. So that would be the base of the blade. So it opens up like this. And on this side you have that safety rope cutter. This is good for cutting seat belts or ropes that would be close to someone's person. We don't maybe want to put a blade close to someone's chest or neck or whatever if you're trying to get them out of a car or out of a seatbelt or out of a necklace that got stuck or something. So it's very convenient for that. This rope cutter works very well for small ropes. For bigger or thicker ropes, I would not recommend it. Let's see, it's a liner lock, so if you're familiar with this type of locking mechanism, you can ignore this part, but liner lock basically means that there's a piece of metal here that goes from the base that lines up to support this structure. So it's very firm. I can't bend this with all my might. And so the thickness, it looks thin, but it's actually like it's very thick in terms of, because it goes all the way down here, so there's no way this will budge out of its position by pressure from above. It has a clip, a pocket clip, and you will notice that this has very rounded edges here and rounded edges here. So in a lot of other pocket knives, for me personally, I scrape things when I have a sharp edge here, like a 90-degree angle here, that would scrape things, like scrape my car, scrape anyone who tries to be close to me. And same thing, sometimes they have this part branching out a bit too sharply, so that also scrapes people and scrapes things. So if you have kids, for example, and they like to climb up and down on you, I like this feature a lot, because this means I can have it in my pocket and I'm not worried about it scraping or scratching the things I don't want to scratch. Alright, so moving on, it has a thumb stud here. This is a studded back here, which fits really nicely to apply pressure when you're carving something or cutting something, and helps for precision cuts. You can still sort of slip back and do a bit of chopping as you would with a survival knife because of this little band here. And let's get on to the blade itself. So the steel is a 5CR15 MOV, which is basically a Chinese stainless steel with a sort of an alloy mix to make it more hard, like the molybdenum and the vanadium are supposed to make it harder. And for me personally, I find this is one of my softer blades in terms of if I'm carving hardwood for about an hour or so, you'll notice it directly in the sharpness of the blade, so I need to resharpen it a lot. But it also shows in durability, so it doesn't break. Now I'm not gonna do any destruction tests to prove that it doesn't break. You can find plenty of those on YouTube otherwise. But I think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful drop point, and it has I've dropped it a lot of times. I've dropped it probably, I've had it for about a year, and I've dropped it on stairs, on stones. I've dropped it on car parking areas. I've dropped it in all types of hard materials, and the composition of the blade is really genius. It's really robust. It doesn't break. The only thing I've ever had to do would be to adjust this screw if I drop it too much. Really, like when I dropped it down a stair once, I had to adjust this screw. But in general, it holds up to basically anything, and it's a really nice EDC, because then I know I can carry this sort of in the car, in the bus. No, in Sweden it wouldn't be legal to carry it on a bus, so let's say not the bus, but in almost any situation, this can come very in handy. And it's really nice for cutting up fruit, for cutting up everyday type of carving. Like the shape of the blade would suggest that it's a decent skinner, and I've never skinned anything in my life, but just based on how other skinning blades look, I would assume that this makes a good skinning blade. Now you notice in the grind, it is a hollow grind, which I don't like particularly, because that means when sharpening, you can't just follow the sort of the grind angle, but you have to do a secondary angle to get to actually be sharpening the blade, which makes it harder to do if you want to do it manually. Now I sometimes use one of these work sharp tools that help. I just have a guest appearance of that. Here we go, one of these. Then of course it's much easier. So that's my tendency when it comes to hollow grind blades. But apart from that, it's easily my favorite knife. I call it my trusty because it's so I know it's always there, you know. And yeah, it's a really beautiful blade. And in terms of size, so K-Bar, this K-Bar Warthog series, the reason why I didn't go with them was because of the size. So this actually can fit my little finger into, just barely, but it makes a nice sort of tight grip. And this handle scales are G10, which adds some traction. I wouldn't say a lot. Like it doesn't stay there forever, but it's better than just steel, for example. So yeah, it has a decent grip, and especially if the thumb slides up, it creates more space here. Versus if I'm trying to fit it all as a sort of hammer grip, that's not super comfortable because the little finger is getting squeezed out here. But if I slide up the thumb, it makes a really good grip. And before we finish this review, I just want to mention the weight and size. So this is the official weight is 192 grams, which is in Sweden, if you buy a Marabou claw, it's about that size. And let's see, and in terms of length, it's 22 centimeters. So yeah, for me is just about the size of my hand, a bit longer than the size of my other length of my hand. And yeah, and it's a bit like the handle is longer than the blade. I'm not sure about the exact blade length. I think it's 10 centimeters, or maybe it's, I'm not sure about that, but I will drop it in the comments. But yeah, overall, great EDC for big-handed people. I would highly recommend this. And please, if you get this, please drop a comment about what you think about it. I'm curious to know what your views are. And in terms of housekeeping, I would recommend a few things, but remember that it is a softer steel, so to not go full on carving the hardest woods you find, because it will mean you have to sharpen it more often. Yeah, but great for opening things, great for yeah, just a regular EDC knife. All right, thank you. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more reviews.